And a pleasant good Wednesday afternoon. It's the 15th of February already. It's a little bit after 3. It's in the lower 60s. Clear skies here in SoCal. And yet, the NBA All-Star break is coming up, and we'll just have to wait and see who gets hot in the second half of the season. And we all know about our Lakers, you know, a team I've been following since I was a little kid. Yeah, since the Showtime era, you know, when Dr. Buss was the owner, Pat Riley was our coach, and Jerry West was our general manager. And back in those days, the NBA was more consistent. Most of our players had pretty much the same starting lineup every day without having taken days off, and load management was a lot different back then than it is now. That's for sure. And yeah, I mean, all those famous NBA players like Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, Kobe, Tim Duncan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Scottie Pippen, Latrell Sprewell, Patrick Ewing, Larry Bird, just to name a few, would play really consistent almost every day. They would take no more than 5 days off during the regular season. I mean, that's when we had those mini dynasties, you know, when the Lakers and Celtics really dominated the 80s. Same with the Sixers and Moses Malone and Dr. J. Yeah, those guys also played consistent. Even Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish. Yeah. And the Bad Boy Pistons, too, with Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars. And we had a lot of good coaches back then, too, like Pat Riley and Chuck Daly, and of course our own Phil Jackson, who coached the Lakers and Bulls to all those titles, and Rudy Tomjanovich, Greg Popovich, Larry Brown, also Byron Scott as well, coached the Nets. Yeah, the teams of the 90s were the Bulls and the Rockets and the Knicks and the Spurs, and 2000s were the Lakers, of course, and the Spurs. And of course, the Knicks had a great run in the 90s as well. Of course, the Lakers, it was the lean years were the 90s. And of course, Lakers and Spurs would always dominate in the 2000s. Then you had the Miami Heat rising. Phoenix Suns were good at times. But now for the past decade, it's been the Warriors that have dominated the NBA with the rising of the Splash Brothers and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And but for me, I'll always be a lifelong Laker fan, win or lose, good and bad, thick and thin. But only time will tell. But I think next year we'll at least improve and hopefully not start 0-5 like we did this season. If we start 2-3 or 3-2, that's pretty good. Or 4-1 or 1-4, whatever. But 5-0, it's very unlikely. But I would start 3-2 next season, or 4-1 at best. But hopefully not 0-5, because that's been the difference maker. And we know about Darvin Ham as a rookie coach, and he was a former assistant coach and even played with the Pistons in 2004. He beat us in the NBA Finals, and in my opinion, the 2004 Lakers, I thought, would be a really good team on paper. But unfortunately, we lost to the Detroit Pistons in the finals, and that's when Shaq and Kobe, you know, Shaq left after the season, but Kobe would always be a Laker, you know. Yeah, NBA players don't always stay with one team anymore. Look at Dirk Nowitzki. He played his whole 20-year career with the Mavs, only one championship. And when Jerry Buss owned the Lakers, he he took us to the playoffs every year except twice. He only missed the playoffs twice when he was our owner. And he won 10 championships. Jack Kent Cooke, who owned the Lakers before Dr. Buss, only had 1 championship in 15 years. I mean, they should have won back in '69 against Boston. I mean, I wasn't around yet, but I'm sure some of the other players or fans that were alive back then saw purple and gold balloons up in the rafters, and it was a jinx, and it was probably a curse that the Lakers would release those balloons had they won it. But it wouldn't happen until '85 when we finally beat Boston, when we beat them at the old Garden. That was probably one of the best Laker teams ever, you know, when we finally beat the Celtics and win it in their court. That was amazing. Well, I hope you enjoy your Wednesday, wherever you may be. And let's try to get a win tonight.